Hello guys, welcome to my second video. Today I'll be talking about beginner mistakes, and not only the basic beginner mistakes, I'll also mention some really gross mistakes that even advanced players are making, and I would say let's get into it. First mistake: spawning ships undercrewed. You might have noticed that minimum efficient crew thing that has a meaning. You might have noticed that you have a health penalty text on your spawn button, and that also has a meaning. Let's say you decide to press this button and maybe you haven't been shot yet, but if you get shot you will notice that your shield will just die. But trust me, it's not a good idea doing this. So, mistake number 2. Wrong aiming. This mistake is seen pretty often, and I haven't seen a content creator yet who hasn't done that mistake. Some of you might aim like this. Just great aiming, but let me tell you that this is wrong. What you do is you zoom. You do that with your Alt key. There are 3 zoom levels, and you decide your zoom level depending on the range. But you still directly aim to the target, but how is that? It's not hitting. Well, that also has a reason. There is a bug we call the turret offset, and the bug works like that. Your turrets always have an offset that is relative to their orientation. The battle diagonalizer has 4 upper turrets and 2 bottom turrets. What you can see here is that the bottom turrets aim to the left, the upper turrets aim to the right. But what can you do now to fix this? Let me tell you something. You can't do anything. To combat this, you basically just choose the side that fires the most shells, and you aim directly next to your target, and then you will eventually hit your target. Next mistake: going right into planets. This is a very critical mistake. But why is that? What is wrong in going into planets? We even place our colonies there. What is wrong with it? So I'll explain this. Here is a planet, and like in real life, a planet has gravity, and what gravity does, it accelerates shells. So it means your shells are getting faster, and the faster your shells are, the more damage you do. So let's say you are here and I'm here, and I fire shells at you. What will happen is that I'll completely shred your shield and destroy you. And you also don't do this. You don't go into planets to destroy colonies. You do that outside of the planets because there is gravity that allows you to one-shot the colony shield. The hull is a different thing. It's very hard to take down. There's also another thing that can occur. Despite the colony having very much HP and it takes you forever to take it down, it can also happen that I'm getting my little gun frigate. It just takes one shot to instantly one-shot your shield, and I think you can imagine what will happen next. This is also for going next to planets. You absolutely have no chance if you are there, and yes, you will be destroyed. Next mistake: the most expensive is the best. This is what is often heard from newer players and even some high level players, but it's often not the case. Of course there are ships that are expensive and good, but the normal ships are actually pretty decent, and for example there are simple counters to the mobile tackle spire. The other ship can just turn its shield off and your anti-ship missiles won't deal any damage. But I mean, most players don't know that, and if there's one little chaff, your missiles will just get distracted. Same goes for ships like the advanced laser battleship. It's only good for a close range, but at all it is not good at all. You can warp straight into someone, but this is not a good idea. Also, for example, the bombardment battleship has pretty much no use You can destroy colonies with it, but it is not very efficient. But the best example by far is the attack bee. It is just a work bee with a long range turret stacked to it, and it is not really strong, so please don't think it is a kind of OP ship. Next mistake, warping directly into someone. Well, basically there isn't very much wrong with that, but in some cases it can really be a problem and you could have won that fight. For example, let's say you have a super dreadnought or whatever, destroy leader, and you're fighting a station. The worst thing you can do is warping directly into it. The reason for that is because your turrets always have an optimal range where it deals the most damage. And if you warp too close to it, they will simply lose all their power. Next mistake, wrong weapon usage. Wrong weapon usage can pretty much be everything. It can also be warping straight into something while using normal AP shells or long range shells. It can also be using anti-air stuff against vessels. For example, you don't use the point defense against a vessel, it is a very strong weapon against strike craft. Or you don't use ship-to-air missiles, means anti-air missiles, against vessels, it won't deal any damage. Same goes for the AA shells, the anti-aircraft shells. And there are also other things like you don't use HE shells against the shield. You use AP shells against the shield, and HE is for the hull. If your turret doesn't have AP shells, then you can still go with the HE shells. So yeah. Another thing is you don't use short range anti-ship missiles or cruise missiles or long range anti-ship missiles against strike craft, because these missiles won't even hit the strike craft. The strike craft doesn't even need to chaff to evade it. Well, these were the mistakes I personally often saw, and I hope you learned something new. So see ya in the next one.